Hey y'all, my name is Grace and welcome to Grace Adventures. Well, this video is not going to be like your normal video and, well, kinda. It kind of will be, except this time it'll be a little bit more saddening because we learned that on July 14th, 2026, that Kumba will be closing on August 2nd, 2026. So if y'all see me get a little emotional in this video, yeah, makes sense. Busch Gardens Tampa posted an announcement on their social media channels saying that after 33 years, it's time for Kumba to take its final roar on August 2nd. In this video, I want to take a dive into how this affects Busch Gardens Tampa and where this leaves them as the theme park they are now. So let's begin. So let's first digest into this post that they posted on social media. Debuting in 1993, Kumba set a new standard for thrill rides. It was Florida's tallest, fastest, and longest roller coaster when it opened, and it featured the world's tallest vertical loop. From its 7 exhilarating inversions to its iconic roar sound, Kumba has left its mark on Busch Gardens, and it will be remembered as an icon of the park. So then why are y'all getting rid of it if it's an icon of the park? Kumba literally made Busch Gardens into what Busch Gardens is today. So yeah. Let's continue. While Kumba may be retiring this summer, Busch Gardens is dedicated to thrilling the next generation of coaster enthusiasts by continuing the Kumba story. As part of our evolution and commitment to delivering innovative attractions, we are happy to announce Kumba's Revenge. This new attraction is a part of our $100 million investment that will elevate Busch Gardens as Florida's thrill leader and enhance guest experience. First off, let's talk about this $100 million investment. This is where I'm seeing a lot of people say, oh my gosh, this is the Giga Coaster, or oh my gosh, this is the 300-foot roller coaster that we've been waiting for to come to this park that we're all begging Busch Gardens to build. But let's not get too excited here. Let's not get too excited. So this is part of the $100 million investment into this park, right? And so this is not just being invested into Kumba's Revenge, but this is also for animal habitats, the entertainment, and other park enhancements. This includes the Wild Oasis Kids Play Area, as well as the Lion and Hyena Ridge animal habitat. So let's put this into perspective here. Fury 325 is a giga at Carowinds, and that opened in 2015, and that cost them $30 million to build. And if you adjust that for inflation, that is around $42 million in 2026. So how much money do they have left for this Giga Coaster? And lastly, from this social media post, Kumba's Revenge is an extension of the already legendary coaster, and it will allow its spirit to live on as we enter a new era of thrills. The legend of Kumba will continue. Stay tuned for this brand new adventure. Okay guys, it's time to hear me out. I feel like a lot of us are assuming this is going to be a roller coaster that is replacing Kumba in the same plot of land, in the same manufacturer, in the same colors, and etc. But this is just me thinking outside of the box. So Busch Gardens Tampa is rumored to be getting a water ride soon, and lots of people are speculating it to be a Mack water coaster. And that will technically be the first new coaster since 2024 when Phoenix Rising opened. So what I'm trying to say is that I think Kumba's Revenge is going to be a water coaster because they never said that Kumba's Revenge is going to be a roller coaster. They called it a new attraction, an extension, a new era of thrills, and a brand new adventure. Once again, I hope I'm wrong, but this was literally the first thing I thought of when I read that. But let's be real. Whatever is replacing Kumba in that plot of land, it better live up to the name of Kumba, and it better live up to where Kumba has been for the past 33 years. because if we're getting some sort of kids coaster or flat rides in that area replacing that plot of land, I don't know what I'm gonna think. And I've also been hearing people say that they think that Kumba is gonna get retracked. And I just feel like they would have used the words retract in the social media post. Or honestly, in the social media post, they'd probably be just being vague as hell. Because Kumba's revenge could honestly be anything. It could be a flat ride, for all we know. I highly doubt it, but I'm just saying. I'm predicting that it's gonna be a water coaster instead of a normal roller coaster. So, yeah. So in my last video, I was pretty confident that Kumba was gonna be closing a lot sooner than we thought, but obviously we just didn't know when this was gonna happen exactly. I think I'm more sad about the fact that they announced the closure of Kumba almost less than 2 weeks out from its actual closing date. Of course, I'm devastated about Kumba closing, but I'm thinking about my friends up north, and I'm thinking about the people that gotta take off work to try and get their last rides in. Like if you're wanting to go on the last day of operation, for example, you don't have that much time to call off. And for example, I work on Sundays. And so how realistic would it be for me to try and take off a whole day with almost less than 2 weeks of a notice? I just think that is so rude for the leadership to give so little notice of this iconic roller coaster, and for the fans who paid to get into this park and want to get their last rides. Like the leadership of Busch Gardens obviously did not take note from the closures of Scorpion or Stanley Falls Flume, giving them almost less than 2 weeks of a notice, as well as other parks doing it the correct way, like Silver Dollar City giving almost 11 months in advance for people to get their last rides on Thunder Nation, or Universal Orlando giving almost 9 months in advance when Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket closed. And this is from one of my inside sources, but the leadership of Busch Gardens literally knew that they were gonna close Kumba way in advance. Like they have known for months that they were going to close Kumba. Months? Are you kidding me? And another thing from one of my insiders is that they were thinking about not announcing the closure of Kumba altogether. Y'all, I am not kidding you, but if we didn't start discussing the closure of Kumba on social media, we most likely would have had another King Deca scenario where the ride closure of King Deca was not announced prior to its closure. When I was told that, as well as a couple of other creators, that's when I felt compelled to communicate about the rumors of Kumba closing. We also have to talk about the coincidence of Kumba's closure date also ending up on the same day as Air Force One. So long story short, Air Force One at Fun Spot Atlanta is also closing on August 2nd. And with them, at least they gave more than a month's notice. And to be fair for Fun Spot does not have the backings like how Busch Gardens Tampa does. What I mean is that Busch Gardens Tampa is owned by a huge private equity group called Hill Path Capital, and Fun Spot is a family-owned amusement park. You would think that if you were as big as Busch Gardens Tampa, that you would be giving your fans plenty of notice for one of the most iconic rides closing at your park. But the fact is, a small family-owned park is showing up in terms of communication. So Busch Gardens Tampa, the leadership of Busch Gardens Tampa, that's so embarrassing on your part, and that's not a good look. But y'all, 2 major roller coasters are closing on the same day. That's absolutely insane. Another thing that I would like to point out is it's crazy how Kumba is closing, but that roller coaster received major refurbishment for the 9 to 10 months that it was closed last year. If this information is correct, the refurbishment cost them $500,000 to $1 million to get Kumba back open. And what's crazy is that they are closing this roller coaster And it hasn't even been a full year since Kumba opened back up from its refurbishment and 10-month closure. The main reasons I have been hearing about why Kumba is closing for real is that their manufacturer B&M is no longer supporting this ride past August 2nd, and Busch Gardens Tampa leadership does not want to become liable of running a ride that is not supported by the original manufacturer, especially on the high and intense level that Kumba is on. In other words, this roller coaster has reached its maximum lifetime cycle. In this instance, I feel like the only way for Busch Gardens to actually save Kumba is to retract the ride, but I really don't think that they're going in that direction. So the future of this park is doomed the way that it's going. There are so many bad business models taking place at Busch Gardens Tampa, and I feel like the main reason for this is private equity. I don't mean to say that in a bad way, but I'm genuinely concerned about the ongoing downfall of this park. I love Busch Gardens Tampa, and I've been coming to Busch Gardens Tampa my entire life, but the current leadership of this park is literally putting this park in the trash. Like, can we be for real for a second and say that they got rid of Scorpion in 2024 and Stanley Falls Flume in 2025? And now it's Kumba in 2026. What new additions or ride replacements has this park come up with to actually get people into the park? And will people actually want to spend their money here? Well, you could say a new addition for this park would be Wild Oasis that opened in summer of 2025. But did that actually bring people and families into the park to an area that is dead for most of the day? Are you genuinely gonna buy a pass to Busch Gardens just for a kid's play area and for a little drop tower? I'm gonna give y'all the real answer to this, and this is just a harsh reality, but no. This is not gonna get people into the park, and this is not gonna get people to want to spend money to want to visit Busch Gardens Tampa. And can we also talk about the fact that their new addition called the Lion and Hyena Ridge was supposed to open up in the spring of 2026, but is still closed with no announced opening date? Like, are we for real here? Because Busch Gardens Tampa has not produced any decent attractions for a really long time, but they are still charging premium prices for half of the rides to be closed at the park. Like, I'm not crazy here, right? And the plots of land for Stanley Falls Flume and Scorpion have not been touched besides for the demolition part of it. But there should be some motion taking place at the end of July in the Stanley Falls Flume plot of land, so we'll see if that lives up to it. One more thing I want to point out is how high capacity Stanley Falls Flume and Kumba are, and how they were crucial for the crowds. Like with the log flume, I think you could have around 8 logs running at a time, and you could fit 1 to 4 people in per log. And with Kumba, you could fit up to 32 people per train. I feel like there are so many problems still not addressed to this park, like the pay lockers for Iron Gawazi. For these lockers, you either have to pay $4 for 2 hours or $12 for the entire day. And I feel like this punishes the person who brings the bare minimum to theme parks. So riding 2 different RMCs, one called Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point and another called Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion, there is a possibility of making free lockers. Both of those rides literally provide free small lockers where you can fit your phone, your wallet, and your keys. But Busch Gardens Tampa still makes you pay to ride Iron Gawazi, even if you're a single day guest and you pay $100 to get into the park. And literally, SeaWorld Orlando, an hour and a half away, has cubbies. They have free cubbies. And they are both owned by the same people. So I don't understand why Busch Gardens Tampa doesn't have cubbies, but SeaWorld Orlando does. Please explain it to me. Thank you. Okay, I feel like we also have to mention the one train ops at Busch Gardens Tampa. When I was visiting Busch Gardens Williamsburg, there were 2 trains on almost every roller coaster besides Tempesto for good Skyrocket 2 model reasons. But if you visit Busch Gardens Tampa on a weekday, most, if not all of their roller coasters on one train. And I also forgot to add that I visited Busch Gardens Williamsburg on a Wednesday. So yeah. So this is sad because this is their peak season, aka their time to make money and their time for people to come to the park. Like, in all honesty, are people actually going to come back to your park if the food is bad, the park experience is bad, the park operations are bad, and there's nothing new or exhilarating for your guest? As I close off this video, I want to thank y'all for bearing with me with the rumors I have been posting prior to the official announcement of Kumba closing. I bet some of y'all thought I was kind of crazy because this rumor has been going on forever. And I bet some of y'all were like, well, here we go again. I know the next ride that will most likely be going is Mintue, and I'm honestly really scared for that ride. It's my favorite ride. I don't want it to go. I don't want Kumba to go, but I really don't want Mintue to go. Ride track wise for Mintue, it's still holding really strong, but the only thing is Mintue is only 3 years younger than Kumba. If Mintue is close or it has already reached its maximum lifetime cycles, I would not be surprised. We have seen roller coasters like the Hulk at Islands of Adventure open in 1999, but then get a full retrack in 2016, as well as Nemesis at Alton Towers open in 1994, and that got a full retrack in 2023. My final thoughts for this video is to go ride Kumba and even go ride Air Force One as much as you can before both of them close. And when Kumba is gone, go ride Mintue for as long as you can before that ride shuts down. Because if this is how Busch Gardens treats their roller coasters, then Mintue is gonna face the same fate very soon. And then we'll be talking about every year when Mintue is gonna close. The cycle is gonna continue. Kumba's roar will live on forever, and I know we're all gonna miss it so much dearly. And I'm especially gonna miss all of the memories that I made while riding Kumba, and not just by myself, but the times where I've made new friends and I've rode with old friends. And Kumba's awesome for how it's shaped and innovated the coaster industry into what it is today. Thank you for your service, Kumba. We'll see you on the other side.